Delighted to have a very good friend of mine with me on the couch today, on my own couch as it goes, and a work colleague now, working together, Mr. Matthew Gill.
Hi Jim.
Thanks for coming, Matthew.
No problem. How are you, pal?
Yeah, great, mate. Pleasure to have you, sir. So we're just going to have a little insight. Matthew's from a decent, I'm not going to say unbelievable playing career, because I played with him. It was all right. He's a good player. Came to Walsall back in the day with me, that's how I knew Matthew from there, and he's, he had a good playing career, and then went on from there into his coaching pathway. So we're going to talk about how he got into there, and he's been at a Premier League club doing under 23s for youth football. Now he's working in the first team environment in the Championship and Division 1, so it's a great start to a real promising coaching career. And I work with Matthew, so I know, not just saying it because he's here, I know how good he is on the training field as well as off it with the lads as well. So nice one. So Matthew, let's get started then. What's your current position? I suppose it's a great place to start.
Yeah, so Ipswich Town first team coach. Been in 12 months now. Obviously a little bit disappointing last year with the relegation, but learned loads individually as a coach. The position come back about as a bit of a shock really. I've been in contact with the manager throughout my end of my playing days and into the first bit of my coaching career, so I've been in to see him work a lot as I've done a few different coaches. I think that's important. And then got the call. So really happy in my under-23s role at Norwich. Really enjoyed that. And then the call came out of the blue, so it was an opportunity I couldn't turn down in the end.
But yeah, I know you kept, like you said, you kept in touch with the manager, who's Paul Lambert, for people who don't know Ipswich Town, and you kept in touch with him, worked with him during your playing career?
Sort of.
Is that a touchy subject?
He came in as Norwich manager when I just signed. Didn't particularly play me loads. But, I think
so what you're saying is a decent manager who knows his stuff.
He must do, not to play me. But I think he saw other strengths in me, and like I said, we kept in contact. I got advice off him, having left the club, regarding playing, coming towards the end of my playing career, and then into the coaching. So fortunate enough that he let me go into all his clubs he's worked at since, Aston Villa, Blackburn, Wolves, Stoke. Enjoyed going to watch him work and his staff. Like I've done with other coaches, managers, I think that's an important part of your coaching journey, to see other people work, not only the ones you're in and around daily. And so yeah, he didn't particularly play me, and that's probably why the call was a bit of a shock, but he saw other strengths, and like you said in the introduction, I was at Norwich when I came to Walsall on loan, and at that period I pretty much knew my future lied elsewhere. Had a couple of loans that year, and Walsall was by far the most enjoyable, apart from having a dodgy keeper in goal.
That was dodgy as well. That was a dodgy goal. You joke about it a lot, that every goal kick you had to flick it on from the midfield, which is harsh.
That's why I've got no hair now, actually. But no, that it actually really helped me, that loan spell, to then perhaps kick on again and get another club or secure another club. I wanted to stay until the end of that season, weirdly, and I thought I would. Dean Smith, who was the current manager of Aston Villa, wanted me to stay till the end of the season, and the gaffer, Paul Lambert, called me back. So he wanted me in and around it, which was good. I think he thought I had some strengths that I could give to the running of that Championship year, which actually ended in promotion to the Premier League. So I was in no way part of that massively, but if I could have played a small part, I hope I did.
Yeah, definitely. Listen, you know how much important it is to have characters around the changing room as well. And I know you've took that onto the coaching side as well. Interaction with the lads is great as well. But just going on that then, so we'll go back onto the playing career. But you just, before I forget, so you mentioned briefly about going into other clubs while you was.
Yeah.
Is that while you was still playing, or had you thought about going into coaching there? Or that was after you'd finished and you started coaching?
Yeah, so I started taking my coaching badges as I was still playing. I think I got to, it probably around that Norwich period, 29-30. A few injuries, getting a few more injuries, and I thought, you know what, I need to be prepared. So went through the coaching badges, and it sort of coincided with getting the first coaching role, which was player coach at Tranmere.
So did you do the badges while you was out injured, or was you doing that alongside playing?
It was a bit of both really. I had my last big contract, or long-term contract, was a 3-year deal at Bristol Rovers, which I signed when I left Norwich. And unfortunately, I had 3 knee ops in 18 months there, so pretty much I knew the writing was on the wall for me as far as physically. So during that period, I got myself fit, but as I was getting fit, made sure that I went and watched the young lads train at Bristol Rovers. Tom Kurtz, who now works for the FA, was academy manager at that point, so I feel lucky that I was allowed to go and see what he did. And then contract ran out, and a friend of mine got the job at Tranmere, Rob Edwards, so asked me to go as first team coach. That quickly became player assistant manager.
Mm.
So looking back, I would have probably retired at that point.
Right.
I don't think I helped him too much by playing.
Would you have picked yourself?
Well, funny you should say that. I was actually caretaker for one game.
Right. Did you pick yourself?
Rob, there was a change of ownership during the pre-season, and unfortunately Rob got the sack, so I pretty much knew the writing was on the wall for myself as well, being assistant manager. Got a little bit of advice going into that game. It was Oxford away. We were quite a young team at that point, and got a little bit of advice, and they said if you feel you're going to add value to the young lads, play yourself. So I did. And actually the incoming manager was there watching and come down to the dressing room and took me off at half time. So perhaps it was the wrong decision.
That was a brilliant story.
We might need to cut that bit out, but no. Mickey won't mind. If Mickey Adams came in, he got appointed on Friday, so I'm going to come and watch the game and I'll start on Monday. Obviously he'd seen 1 or 2 things during the first half of that game that he felt he wanted to add some value at half time, which is his prerogative. Took me off, so that was actually the last time I kicked the ball.
Was it really?
Yeah, in a professional game, so it's quite a good way of going out. Caretaker manager, being sub-body incoming manager.
That's brilliant, mate. Definitely the writing's on the wall there, mate.
So
that's an amazing story.
And Mickey was great. He obviously sat me down. I knew the script. He wants to bring in his own staff. Something that everyone's well aware of in football, that normally when there's a change of manager, the support staff go as well. Feel really gutted for Rob, because he never really got an opportunity in that job. And this is the other side of coaching that a lot of people don't see. I obviously moved my 2 young kids up and my wife up to the Wirral. Beth and my wife transferred their job to Liverpool, the office in Liverpool. So pretty much after about 4.5 months that came to an end. What I would say is I then went into some scouting for Norwich. In the northwest, because we stayed up there. Didn't want to. I made the decision to totally stop at that point, and in a way, I was doing probably 2 or 3 games for Norwich, either loan players, potential signings, opposition reports for 23 games, and in a way, that was a brilliant transition for me and into my coaching. I probably watched the games differently as I had done normally.
You analyse it more, I suppose, and you
when your mind's on it, I was assessing in and out possession a lot more, especially on the opposition reports, how people are setting up, what they do in certain situations, and then the individual stuff that hopefully will help me in recruitment in the future. That you see little snippets of players that you think, I really like that, that's good attributes. So that was pretty much immediately. I did that for probably 5 months after I left Tranmere, until I then got offered a job in the academy at Norwich.
Brilliant.
So we moved home as a family, which was probably needed for my wife's health.
And your health, probably.
We had, she's been with me ever since we were 18, 19, so we'd had 11 addresses in 17 years.
Stuff like that. People don't see that side of it.
Yeah, so it was one hell of a journey, and the playing side, and really I see that as my first proper step into proper coaching. Mm-hmm. I wish I could have been more help to Rob, but I do think now, having gone through the academy process and coaching within an academy environment, it's certainly stood me in good stead.
So it's quite a natural progression then, how you got into it. Things do happen for a reason. So when that happened at Tranmere, do you still use some of that now? In the first place, when you was doing the scouting for Norwich, you still use that and recruitment side of things and analyst side of things when you're watching the game even now? Do you take that with you into games when you're looking at different things for Ipswich now? Yeah,
without doubt. I think being first team coach, you're not that manager has to be in the technical area. Even the assistant manager's up and quite vocal. I think it gives me an opportunity to sit back and analyse what's happening. I think that's quite a good position to be in, and take everything in from almost that step back. When I look back at Tranmere, I was miles off it, if I'm honest.
Right.
I had my playing head on. I felt I was quite opinionated at that point. I thought that's all you really needed, be opinionated, and you could go into coaching it. And going to the Norwich Academy really helped me.
Right. What age did you go into? What ages groups was you taking there?
So
And what age was you?
I was 34, coming on 35.
So still young.
Yeah, so I think what helped me as far as age-wise was I knew my body had sort of given up on me as far as playing. So I never had no interest in playing anymore, or sort of scrambling around trying to get another club. So I think when you make your own decision as far as that's concerned, I think that has a little bit of closure on the playing, and I knew what my next steps were. I knew I wanted to go into coaching, and from pretty much being in a comfort zone at Tranmere, I would say that comfort zone, even though it's tough, but I was with senior players. It's what I've been with for the last 17 years. To then go totally out of my comfort zone and taking under 15s. So I was lead under 15s coach on a Sunday. I assisted the under 16s on a Saturday, and I would coach 13s, 14s, 15s, depending on what groups I worked throughout the week. And that totally took me out of my comfort zone. I wasn't prepared for that one bit. The dealing with young lads, dealing with how different a lifestyle it was. It's not particularly the money side of it, although that's totally different. It's the time. So I was used to doing quite a bit at home, getting home, cooking the food for the kids and my wife. She works, having loads of time in the afternoon, probably hit golf balls, watch a film before even they got home, to go in pretty much every evening and both Saturday and Sunday. So we would me and Beth would high five at the door. And so that was probably the biggest stressful moment in that transition. That puts a strain on relationships, and that's a big thing for people going into coaching, how they're going to deal with that total change of lifestyle, I suppose. But I wouldn't change any of that, and I feel that I'm at this point now because of that, what I went through. So if we go into the coaching side, like the setup of sessions,
Had you done your badges? Had you been doing the coaching courses during that time?
Yeah.
Did you find them helpful going into that?
To an extent, they were helpful. I think nothing can prepare you for not having the right numbers, for instance, for a session you want to do. Yeah. And you have to adapt.
Adapt's a massive word, isn't it?
Really quickly. I probably went a little bit too first thing or stuff that I like to do in initial sessions, where I've now learned that sessions have to be more random for younger players. Obviously, ball rolling was a big thing within the academy environment.
How do you mean ball rolling?
Also, we looked for 75% ball rolling in the academy environment at Norwich. That's part of our philosophy, and it was regarding intervention. So I might do a different intervention style. I might do drive-bys and give you a little word in your ear rather than stopping the whole session.
I get you. So you keep it rolling.
So and we had stuff like any session couldn't be more than plus or minus 2 players, so overloaded or underloaded. Right. So it all was pretty competitive. It had to be game related, directional.
This was set by Norwich? This was their philosophy, if you like. Yeah. And the way all their coaches had to coach. Yeah. Downwards to level. What age was that? From the 18s downwards?
From the 23s all the way down. Yeah, and it was good to have that structure and the club's philosophy. There's some really good people around at that point at the club that helped me loads integrate into that environment, and you're learning on the job. It was almost giving me a way of getting out the knowledge in my head that I wanted to give the young lads and wanted to do as much help as I could. And so the structure, the philosophy and the DNA, you like the DNA.
I do like the DNA, you know that.
So that did help me. And then pretty quickly I moved on to the 18s, to help out the 18s. Me and Darren Huckabee took the 18s for a period. Right. To work closely with Huck, because I was his assistant with 16s.
So 2 ex-Norwich players, 1 legend.
Yeah, 1
really
cheerleader. So working with Huck was brilliant. So I assisted him for probably about 18 months, and then he did the same with me, with the 23s, and we had a fantastic relationship. And with those 23s players, for them to see Darren Huckabee every day, he was as fit as them still. We're joining a lot. We do all the running pre-season. Really showed them what it takes, work ethic wise, and hopefully I added a bit of value regarding some technical and tactical stuff. And I think we had a really good sort of relationship as coaches, and to help the young lads, and hopefully we did that.
So you're going along nicely with the 23s, and you're learning your trade, so to speak. Was there certain aspects you liked more than others about the 23s? Was some areas really tough? I mean, I know you just mentioned about, you're getting told what to do from the top downwards, which in some ways is a great structure, but did you want to break away from that at any time, or was you happy with that?
Like I said before, I absolutely loved that role with the 23s. I think I would like to feel the last probably 5 or 6 years of my career I was trying to help young pros anyway, like you probably did yourself.
When you were playing,
as a senior pro, and it's just an extension of that. Hopefully, I really enjoyed getting to know the lads, trying to build some connection with them, relationships, and really finding out what was their motivational fuel. They were all different. You had to treat them differently as individuals.
So when you was playing, because I think that just come naturally, you try and help them, but you don't really think about anything behind the scenes, do you? As a coach, did you then think a little bit different? What makes them tick? How can I make them tick? Because I think as a player, you'll try and make them tick, but if they don't go along with you, it's not really your concern, I suppose. But yeah, you coach, you need them.
You have to find a way as a coach, whatever makes them tick. And we did various things within the academy and a group of staff, with the psychologist and the other support staff. It is a real interesting one, and I, through experience, I feel like I could help them more. So, for instance, they're pros, they're professional players, they're a very good club. They want the next thing, they want to be in that first team. So my job in a nutshell was to get them in Norwich's first team.
Right.
Get them in.
So that was your remit.
Well, I had 3: get them in Norwich's first team, get them in somebody else's first team, or sell them for value.
Right. So your remit was actually those 3 things. Did you feel, and like I said, I'm going to touch on it after, but you brought lads in to first team, now playing Norwich's first team, doing really well, and gone on to have a great career, which is testament to the stuff you did. But was there pressure on you at that time to produce them players? If you didn't produce it, was your job under pressure, or is it a fairly safe job in that environment?
I would say it's pretty safe. Different to the environment we're in now, I would say, but there's still people lose their jobs within academies. Norwich have gone through a massive change of staff of late. So yeah, I never felt pressure for results, for instance. It was purely individual development.
So no one put pressure on the results? Because like I say, it's a results business, especially now in the first team environment. It's really results driven.
Yeah.
Don't really matter anything else.
It's interesting because you go into that environment and it's about individual players, developing individual players, and then you come back from the game and the first thing you get asked is what was the score. So
right,
so I found that really interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you want to know how the players did, or did we have the 3 best players on the pitch, for instance?
Right.
Or how did one of our expected players do? No. What was the score?
Who scored?
So yeah, that's interesting. In a nutshell, I had to make sure those players didn't have any surprises when they went into a first team,
right.
Or trained with our first team, Norwich's first team at that point. So that was part of the job, and like I said, they're all different. You had different routes for them all. Some would go straight to the first team, some needed a loan,
right.
Some would go abroad for a loan to get them as far away from Norwich as possible, and some needed to go into a different environment where it was a little bit more rough around the edges and see how resilient they were to come through that. So it was that each player had their individual needs, and I think that my job was to find out what they were, along with all the other staff and all the other staff at the club, coaching and support. That was vital, that we gave care and attention to each individual.
Brilliant. So you literally do it to their own needs, because some will say they get to a certain age they need to go on loan, but some might have not matured into needing that environment just yet and need a little longer, and so you judge them solely on how they was progressing at that time.
That's it. I think that it had to be on an individual basis. You had to take in maturity, physicality. Were they ready to go out alone? Would they go out alone and get beaten up, which might be good for one and not the other? To expose them to as many different things as you can, giving them a little bit of stretch, making sure they were stretched was important. but also always making sure they knew that they had a support network around them.
Yeah.
And I feel that that's one of my strengths, making sure they felt supported and that I was there from when they needed me, but I could be critical when needed and point them in the right direction, hopefully.
I was the same when I first went into coaching. I'd never coached the kids before, and it was a real eye-opener for me. It had to be different with them, but I really enjoyed it when I see them doing well and learning, and they sort of hang on to your words more, and when you see them putting into action, it must be great for you to see that the lads you work with, especially coming through with you from 15s up to 23s, and I know some of them have gone on and are in the first team right now, and some going on.
I suppose how it worked out at Norwich, I went from 15s, 16s, 18s, 23s all within 4 years, so you are working with similar players throughout, so which is quite nice, and obviously you then get to know them a bit better. It's not like you have a team for a year and then you get a new group of players. I worked with some similar players for the whole time I was there, so that's really rewarding, seeing their journey and seeing how different people reacted to different things. So some of the lads when I first went in, you probably thought really good work ethic, but are they going to get there? And actually their attitude and their work ethic made them overtake the exceptional players at the time. I think that's vital. I think consistency of work ethic is going to be the most important thing to young talented players out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that we spoke about it a lot with our young players at Ipswich, that it's not only having that motivation when things are going well, it's having motivation when they're not, and having that stamina and your motivation to carry on and keep working through bad times. But I think you come out the other end. I think too many talented players have a little bit of dip in form or a little bit of difficulty, and then they drop off a little bit because that motivation sort of wanes a little bit. So I think that's important.
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to do the same in my head as you're saying that, but I'm going to forget it on camera and it's going to sound ridiculous. But hard work beats talent if talent doesn't work hard.
Yeah,
something along those lines. And I think it's a great adage. You can have all the talent in the world, and how many boys have you seen come through, even from when I played as a kid, and they've just gone by the wayside because the application wasn't quite right, or some you need a bit of luck as well and the right fit. And
there was a lace in the ball when you were coming through, though.
So my fingers were all crooked now.
And I say that I would never want to take too much credit for players that are playing first teams now, but because it is down to them ultimately. I think my job was to provide an environment where they felt they could try things, could make mistakes and feel supported. And I think that's a real key aspect of my coaching going forward. That players feel that they can make mistakes, they'll get help through them as long as their motivation matches mine and work ethic. So I think that's vital. Every player gets to where they get to through their own hard work. If a coach has made a small percentage difference in providing a good environment, then brilliant.
Absolutely. I think, humble of you to say so, I think that's a massive part of it. Like I say, it's down to the players at the end of it, but if you can nurture them in the right way, then absolutely. So you're going along nicely at Norwich, just settled with your home life, you're living in Norwich, you're living close by. Probably the one next place you didn't envisage going was like the nearest rivals in Ipswich. I mean, we'll get on that in a minute, how it came about, but just while you was at the 23s then, was you looking to get out at any point to get into first team? Was you sort of itching to get into that first team environment and a more competitive environments to run from it? You're actually playing for points instead of playing to bring people through.
During that spell, I envisaged going into a first team environment eventually. Right. I was in absolutely no rush to do it. I think I want to coach for probably the next 20 years. I'm in no rush to get where I'm getting to.
What age are you now, Matthew?
39.
Never.
Jimmy.
Never.
I know I look like 49.
Are you sure? I'm going to check that. Check that. You're older than me, definitely.
That month at Walsall made me look old.
That was decent, that wasn't me.
So I was in absolutely no rush. I actually turned down an assistant manager's role at a League 2 club, probably about 12 months previously.
Right.
Because I was really happy, spoke before about the family bit settled, and really enjoyed my job. The club itself, Norwich, gone through a massive transition of CEO, sporting director, new academy manager, new head coach. So that was going through a real different period, and I really saw an opportunity that lads were going to get an opportunity now to at least have a go at the first team. So it was a positive time for the club as far as that's concerned, even though they'd gone through a little bit of adversity, getting relegated to the Premier League, finishing 14th the first year with the parachute payment was seen as really underachieving. and it was going through a massive transition as far as financially and the way they approached players. So it was good for me to see that, without a shadow of a doubt. It was good for me to see that. But in the back of your mind, I kept an eye on, still had friends playing, still do now. You keep an eye on results, first team, football, watch loads and loads of games. So that's always at the back of your mind, but I had no rush to get there, absolutely no rush to get there.
But did you ever think there was a pathway to go with Norwich, even up the ladder, so to speak, and take over there eventually? I don't know, that's just come to my head well.
Yeah, probably not at that point. Obviously, not loads of experience as far as coaching or managing a team. The 23s was probably a really good role for me at that point, being a lead coach, taking a team. What I would say as a sport director, Stuart Webber gave me so much support while I was there. An unbelievable appointment by the club, really. And Stuart's done fantastic since he's been there. And I felt really supported by Stuart. And I think that I would have flourished under him. I really feel that. And then the opportunity came to move across the Norfolk-Suffolk border, to move clubs. I suppose the first person I rang was the wife, and discussed it with her, and she can take the emotion out of it, and purely it was, well, you can still live at home, you can still be a dad to the kids.
Geographically, it's
can still be a dad to the kids, you're still going to be around, or you might not see you as much. That was really important, and I totally understand that. From a professional point of view, I looked at it really professionally and think it's another football club, an opportunity, a massive football club. It's my hometown rival, our biggest rivals. My son was slightly confused doing that, but it doesn't take away anything that I feel about Norwich and the relationships I made with people there. I'm desperate for them to do well. Got loads of friends and colleagues there that I think you got to be some kind of weird human being if people you're friends with you, all of a sudden you change roles and you don't want them to do well all of a sudden. So
absolutely,
it's a difficult.
Well, you learn they're not friends, really, they want you.
Yeah, that's it. So that was a real difficult spell for me. Professionally, most people I spoke to, I had 2 or 3 mentors that I speak to regularly, and pretty much it was a no-brainer. Take the role and
go for it,
and really go for it, and that's what I've done.
So on the personal side, I suppose sometimes don't see that. People just see what in the papers or whatever, or in front of it, and they don't really scratch the surface at how you feel underneath. I know your boy, I know him well. Like obviously the family, they go around with the Norwich kits on, and now you're going to Ipswich, and he's at school. Did he get any stick at school? Did he get anything like that, or is it?
I think that it was quite a good time. He's 8. So
it would have been a bit harsh at a young age.
Yeah,
the teachers give him any stick.
A little bit in his coach for his Sunday team,
right?
So he wears an Ipswich kit to training now and again. And within Norfolk, obviously that's very rarely seen. So I quite like the resilience of it, and I think, you know what, I feel that's brilliant. And I've obviously got a really supportive family, lots of friends who are Norwich fans, and I think you really get a feeling then when I made that move. The amount of friends and colleagues that messaged me, wishing me all the best and that I'd be missed or whatever it might have been, I think, you know what, it's fantastic because they're hardened Norwich City fans and I've just got to their roles, but they see me as a person rather than anything else. So it was tough. I came off Twitter the night before it got announced. I thought I probably won't go through that. Although my brother was quite keen to share some messages with me that weren't that favourable, but I think I knew what was coming, and let's be honest, I was a 23s coach. It wasn't like I was the head coach going to be the head coach at.
Well, we look at that. I mean, so you get the call. Personally, we took Gill, and you get the call from Paul Lambert, who's like a bit of a mentor to you, not a hero, but someone you looked up to in the game. You get the call from Paul. You think, brilliant. Forget that. Actually, Paul went from Norwich manager at one point to the Ipswich, so that's a big divide. To take you with him as well, he must have saw a lot in you as well, because that could have been construed as another one coming over from Norwich. I don't know, I mean, did that come into your thinking at all?
A little bit, and I think it came into the manager's thinking. I wouldn't want to speak on his behalf, but I'm sure he thought, how would it go down this way with the Ipswich fans, and having worked for Norwich, I know there's a lot of water under the bridge since. He's worked for numerous clubs since. Norwich will go down as one of the most successful managers in Norwich's history. So, yeah, I thought about it long and hard, and about how it could be perceived, but ultimately I saw an opportunity that I thought would be beneficial for my career, and one that I wanted to make, and it didn't upset the family too much as far as location, which was a big part of it.
Absolutely. So, a year in now at Ipswich, so it's, and I know obviously, I mean, probably your most important phone call after a couple of days of getting the job was probably to the new goalie coach that you wanted, and that's probably made your year go a lot better, obviously, when you called. Oh, that was me. Oh, that might have been your worst call.
Well, it was actually a mistake. I think someone else. No, obviously when you go in staff, we were in a difficult spell at that point. I would like to think I'm a little bit of an energiser in around the group, and so are you. So I think that was really important that we got the right mix. Obviously with the head of performance, Jim, Stu, the assistant manager, and obviously the gaffer, and having the right mix of staff is really important, I think. And I've sort of seen that as I've progressed or got more experience as a coach, that mix of staff is really important. So we'd obviously kept in contact ever since we had that Walsall spell. I still wake up having nightmares. So yeah, I'm really chuffed you took me call.
Yeah, no, me too. I mean, it's been it was. Let's not beat about the bush. It was in the Championship. By the time we got there, I think they had one win. We knew it was going to be tough in the first place. When I was speaking to you about the job, I was at Sunderland at the time, and Sunderland were, I love being at the club. That was a massive decision for me. They was sort of around the top of Division 1 and we was the bottom of the champ. So it was a big decision in that respect. That we cross over, you make them decisions, and I think geographically as well it worked for myself with my boys, being close to them as well. So that was a big thing. But I know when we got there, we knew it was going to be a tough job. It proved to be a real tough job in the Championship. I mean, I learned a lot about myself in that time. I mean, what was the sort of main things you sort of learned in that time?
You're right, it was an unbelievably tough time, and obviously it's another change of working environment. I spent a lot more time in the car. Obviously the schedule was quite relentless. So I learned loads regarding affecting what you can. And I think as staff we did that quite well. Your key stakeholders, your fans, your ex-players, for instance, we tried to impact the style of play. So we looked at lots of stuff with the head coach and with the manager. So I learned loads regarding that, and the okay results didn't come that we had liked. And it obviously ended up in relegation, but I'll take so much from that sort of 6-7 month period with me in the future to what went well, what didn't work, what maybe do differently next time. I think whoever said about you learn more through adversity, and I think that's certainly the case.
Yeah, absolutely. It was sort of behind the scenes. We had to rebuild the club a little bit. I know you was instrumental on that with the gaffer and that. And on you worked so hard, so I've seen it firsthand. Well, not quite. As you were in at like 6 in the morning till 8 9 at night, or watching games till 10 at night. Can't be honest, and I've got to be honest and say I'm not quite there that long.
Goalies are a bit different.
Yeah, goalies are a little bit different. But, it's someone I think you deserve. We got the fans stayed with you so much. I think they could see what was going into
us, Jimmy.
With us, and it was one of those. We was actually lucky in game. We drew a lot of games of football.
Yeah.
Which I think. Probably if we went at the start that it had throughout the position we was in at the bottom of the league, desperate for the points, you'd probably go on to win another 3 or 4 of the games that we drew.
Yeah, I think when you're struggling down there, obviously anxiety builds, doesn't it? And every missed chance or every goal conceded just seems to be elevated in its feeling. I think that it was tough, and we could say we were unlucky. But I think the biggest thing I'll take from that is how the fans did stick with us. And I think really then that gave us real motivation for starting this season well. So how they stuck with us, got behind us in adversity, and really gave us an opportunity to build again and get us into the position we are now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I'm not speaking for you, but for yourself, going through all that, now going forward in your career, like you say, you've learned a lot from that alone. And we had through through the summer it was a massive transition year, and we knew some would stay with us, but a lot went. I mean, what was it, 12, 15 players left?
Yeah.
And we signed 2 or 3 more, and he was instrumental in bringing people like Ken Vincent-Young in, who's been great. And it was a massive turnaround, but what a great learning curve. Itself, you know, the pathway you've been on. That's what I'm trying to say. You know, is you've gone from playing straight into the coaching, then almost gone back to basics of under 15s and worked up to 23s, then gone into probably one of the difficultest first team environments possible at the time.
Yeah, I wouldn't change any of it. I think that each different role I've had has added more value to me as a coach and will stand me in good stead moving forward. This period now, it's about everyone's cup final, so it's another different pressure now. So which is brilliant for me to see firsthand, be part of. How do our motivation and our approach to every game has to be top every week. We haven't got the luxury of getting up for a big game and perhaps not that one. We're everybody's cup final, and our approach every week has to be bang on it, whether it's Tuesday or Saturday. So that's a brilliant thing to learn from as well. So fighting relegation last year, dealing with 23 players, 18s, 16s, 15s, and now dealing with players that are there to be shot at with expectation really, really high, is another brilliant learning environment for me.
It's a positive. I mean, great. We've had a great start. We know there's a long way to go for ourselves. And I enjoy watching you work. To be fair, I enjoy watching you work with the lads, and I can see, because we've got a lot of young lads, you know, like Flynn Downs, Andre Dizels, Luke Wolfenden. I mean, I'm not just saying it because you've been instrumental in getting them really up to speed. And there's some good players there. They probably just needed that nurturing that you've got from there. So
yeah, there's similarities with the Norwich. Obviously, Norwich come out of the Premier League, and you don't go. I meant Nazy. You don't go and buy Nazy for 9 million. Stephen Naismith from Everton. You have to look within your academy, because they're in the Championship. The finance not there, so they get an opportunity to become regulars. Similar to us, we dropped down a league. We're not going to go out and buy loads of experienced players. Opportunity. So that's all a young lad wants, is an opportunity, and it's down to them to take it. And I think that there's some outstanding talent within our academy, and our young players in the first team squad have got real bright futures. But I think the academy here should take a massive deal of credit for producing these players and giving them that sort of platform to then be ready to go and play once they're called upon. And like you say, the young lads we've had in the team this year have done great.
Yeah, they've done great, and then Ipswich have been quite renowned for that, for bringing through some real good players over the years, and it's great to see. I think that'll continue with the talent they've got there, and obviously with yourself looking after them as well is great for them. So I mean, for now then, happy where you are. Hopefully we get a little bit of success this season, or within at least the next 18 months. What do you see for your future? I mean, is there anything you want to aspire to? Is it if I was to say to you in the next couple of years to 5 years to 10 years, what would be sort of what you'd be looking for?
Yeah, I think short term, I really enjoy this role. I think my main priority now is helping the players that I always have, and trying to get that team a little bit of success. So hopefully we can all be a part of that throughout this season, whatever that might look like. I think long term, I want to have a go at being a head coach or manager long term, but like I said, I hope I could be in football for a long period of time. Say that 20-year mark, I'm not in that rush. You never know when opportunities come, like this one. But I'm really, really happy doing what I'm doing, and hopefully I can add some value to the players and the team.
Well, that's great. I mean, I know personally that when you do get that chance to go further or take the next step, you'll do a fantastic job as well.
Yeah, I'll be looking for a different goalie coach though.
I'll be finished by then. My new shot. I mean, I know a lot of coaches will be watching this interview, hopefully, and they've got a lot from it. Is there sort of any advice you could pass on? I know it's a very random general term to say, but is there any pieces of advice you took along the way that you could maybe just pass on to them that might be of help to them?
Yeah, I think put yourself out there as much as you can. I think watching other people work, I know that's quite tough for some people, but I really got loads from it. Whether it was quite fortunate enough that I played under Andy Boothwell, so kept in contact with him. Alex Inglethorpe up at Liverpool. I just scene is a bit busy, isn't it? But I think you have to put yourself out there.
Absolutely.
There's a big thing about Matthew saying you're better off being ultra social than ultra intelligent, because I think that social, you get to know different people, you get to hear about different things, and I think that's important that you put yourself out there, and you do whatever you can to get wherever you want to get to.
Yeah, that's great advice, and it's good to take you out of that comfort zone and try new things, because you never know what you're going to be good at. And like you said there, I totally agree with that. I mean, the more you do, the more you're going to learn, and you can take things from it. Some things you don't necessarily think it's the right way of doing it, but it's great for you to learn. That's why football's such a great game, and the game of opinions. You can take what you think's right and use it going forward. I think that's great to do. Well, it's been fantastic. Listen, the weather's turned now, so we're in the middle of winter, and I can't play golf with Matthew, thank goodness, because he's took more money off me on the golf course. He's an absolute bandit, so I'm glad the weather's turned. But I just wanted to touch on that, because I know coaching, like, you work so hard at times, and I know when you do try and get away from it, it's something like golf important to you, seeing the family, just to get away from it. Or can you switch off at any time? Is it good to switch off?
Yeah, it's something I've had to learn to do. I'm not the head coach or the manager, but you still take it with you everywhere, as a player, as a coach, and especially now in this first team environment. So it's definitely something I've had to learn to do, about switching off and spending some quality time with family, with the kids. Bethan, I think that I've described to you before as sort of as a wave, peak performances up here, come back down here for some rest and recuperation, and do stuff I like doing, spend time with kids, play golf, and then it gets you back to that point where you feel energised again to go peak performance. So I know you really like that analogy.
I love your analogies. Honestly, I've learned some great stuff. I like the rest of it as well, yeah. And the recharge.
But it is vital, and it's difficult, because we all want to work so hard and make sure we're not missing anything, and make sure we go to that game, watch that player, watch that opposition. That eventually it defeats your object, and you're not having enough detail. So I think it's been vital for me to learn about taking time off when I can, making sure I'm energised for when I need to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And once you're in it, sometimes I think that's a big learning thing for me. Is you can become all consumed, and you actually don't see the clear picture, do you? Sometimes you're right to have a recharge and get away from it, and then you're right back in it and motivated. Listen, that's been fantastic. I hope that's been insightful for everyone. I've really enjoyed it. That's the most intellectual conversation I've ever had with Gilly, to be fair. So I've really enjoyed that.
We'll go back to normal now.
We go back to normal now and start giving each other some abuse. But no, it's fantastic. Thanks for that, Matthew, and sharing us that. That's great, and you're a top man, and I know going in the future you're going to go on and do some great things. So.